Good morning, ladies and gentlemen from all parts of the world. My name is Omayyo, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, a director at Sheria Mtaani, a non-governmental organization which deals with offering free legal representation to the downtrodden and advocating for good governance. This morning, I'm joined with my friend here and co-director.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chelongo Samuel, a director at Sheria Mtaani and also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Thank you.
Now, going by what the country has woken up to, the news of the passing on of Boniface Kariuki, several issues emanate. And in today's conversation, we shall be talking about the offense of murder under the laws of Kenya. Now, the offense of murder under the laws of Kenya is defined, and its stipulation is under the penal code. What constitutes murder is consists of three critical components. The first one is the act itself, taking a knife, stabbing somebody, or differently put, taking a gun or another thing and occasioning the actual death. In this context, a police officer is alleged to have taken a gun and shot at a protester during the 25th national protest that happened all through the country. Now, news streaming in that the protester by the name of Boniface Kariuki has unfortunately, and we pass condolences to the family, passed away. Now, this set stage for an investigation and subsequent charging of those the investigative arms will find culpable from those investigations for the offense of murder. As I said, the offense of murder constitutes of the act itself and the guilty mind behind the act. Now, in the circumstances of the unfortunate demise of Boniface Kariuki, he was shot and rushed to Kenyatta National Hospital, where he has been on life support machine. Now, up to the extent that by the time he was being received at the Kenyatta National Hospital, there was a bullet lodged, and the images which will go through the rigors of the Evidence Act on admissibility of evidence act of video evidence, the act of shooting Boniface Kariuki indeed occurred. What then follows is where did this shot emanate from? Ballistics will be conducted on the bullet that was found lodged in the head of Boniface. The arms movement book on the kind of ammunition, bullets, and the guns that were given to all the officers who are manning will also be at the center of that investigation. Therefore, besides the act occurring, the investigative agencies will have to look at who indeed pulled the trigger, or where did the fatal shot emanate from. Once that is established, whoever is to be held culpable is to be presented before court to take a plea. Now, what the court or what the investigation is required under the law to present before the court is a report on the bullet. That's a ballistic report, a report on who exactly was behind the trigger. And once that is done, the aspect of the guilty mind, my friend, learned friend will address that, will come into play. For instance, why would a police officer at close range shoot straight to the head and not the stomach and not the foot and not to the foot? The regulations and the police standing orders governing use of firearms to a large extent address how a firearm is supposed to be used. That is when the police officer is in danger. That is when the police officer is trying to save life. That will be taken in that specific circumstance and context, so that it sense is gotten out on why was that shot on a very short range was being occasioned, and not to the foot, and not to the arm or anywhere, because ideally shooting is supposed to immobilize and disable and not to take away life. Now, another critical and very important aspect of all these will come into play. There are legal issues that have been lingering for the past week or so, when the late Boniface Kariuki was on life support. The doctor said that he was brain dead, but using the machines, the ventilators, he was able to breathe. Now, a critical issue that has been pending is what happens if the late Boniface Kariuki was to be kept in the life support machine for more than 1 year. That is to say, 365 days. Now, as we all know, we wish to inform you, the laws of Kenya being a colony of England or Britain, all laws, most of the laws, or if not all laws, we took over. We actually inherited the systems in the United Kingdom, such that sources of the Kenyan law majorly include common law. Common law is the law applicable in the UK. Now, with regards to murder, there is a law or an aspect of murder which essentially actually forms a definition of murder in the West, that's in UK, Britain, which is that it is not just the aspect of the act itself and also the guilty mind that constitutes murder. The third aspect that applies in the West is the death of the victim occurring within a period of 365 plus 1 day, that is a year plus 1 day, such that if in the West somebody was to be fatally shot, just as Boniface Kariuki, and he dies outside the 365 days plus 1 day, then that doesn't constitute what murder is. Now, having addressed the question that or the issue that we took over the system of law from Britain, that forms part of our laws. Another quick example, so that we jog our memory, is the case of DJ Volve, who was allegedly shot by the Embakasi legislature. That's Babu Wino. You see, from the dates from when he was allegedly shot, today it's outside 1 year, such that if he were to pass away or he were to die outside the 365, which is now 365 days, that will not be taken to be murder. That will probably be shooting, causing grievous injuries, and not necessarily murder. Now, for the case of Boniface Kariuki, having died within 365 days, this constitutes and falls within the elements of what constitutes murder. And as such, as the investigative agencies conduct the investigations, we foresee, and though it's predictable, we foresee persons being arraigned in court for the offense of murder, for the simple reason that that happened within the 365 days. As a turnout, an interesting aspect of this all came up, whereby Boniface is critically ill on life support machine. What happens if the family were to instruct the doctors to withdraw the life support? That was to end his life. Can you say that his life ended out of the withdrawal of that support or out of the fatal shooting? And I believe this is the big question that the family has been grappling with for the past days. Luckily, the late Boniface Kariuki is now resting in peace, and that the question that will otherwise be troubling his family on if it is on the instructions that the life support machine is being withdrawn or not doesn't linger anymore. My friend will deal with the question of mens rea.
Good morning once again, our esteemed viewers. On the aspect of mens rea, that is the guilty mind, just to be established as an ingredient for murder. In the instance case of Boniface Kariuki, and my condolences to the family, first of all. Now, to the issue of mens rea, the guilty mind. How do you establish that the officer who shot Boniface Mwangi had a guilty mind? You can look at, according to the law, you can look at circumstantial evidence surrounding the shooting of Boniface Mwangi. The demeanor of the accused person, how he behaved himself before the shooting and after the shooting. From the CCTV footage that were available to the whole country at large, we saw he confronted the deceased person, then shot at him and fled the scene. He showed no remorse. That forms part of the circumstantial evidence that can be used to trace the element of mens rea or to establish that element of mens rea. Another thing that is used to prove the act of mens rea is the witness testimonies. The witness surrounding or who saw the shooting have been on media, and they stated that he just fired the shot at Boniface. That will also constitute the act of mens rea. And the mens rea, that's the intent to kill, can be proved in those two elements, specifically to the case of Boniface Kariuki. And I also tackled the defense of mens rea. The police officer in this case can lay some defenses, e.g. insanity. If at all he undergoes a mental test, then it comes out that is not correct, he can go scot-free, because in that instance, he will not be in the correct state of mind. The defense of insanity. Another defense that can be used, the defense of provocation. If at all he had been provoked to an extent that he had now to react. Another defense that can come in is self-defense. If he was attacked, then he can use the defense of self-defense, trying to protect himself. But we leave that to the courts and the evidence that we avail for us to judge the outcome. I think that will be all from me. Thank you very much.
Above all, remember that the defense of insanity, if you are to be found that you are not in your level, you are not level-headed, or you are you are not in your lucid moments, what then means that is that you are a patient and you are admitted to Madari Hospital until you recover. Remember, at Madari, it's like a prison. So choose your battles well.
Thank you very much.